Chair Shot Reality episode 250 here on WrestleZone.com. Special guest Vince Russo. We're gonna loosen up a little bit. We're gonna relax. Mr. LeBar was extremely tense and tight, but I'm gonna throw some keyword association out to you, Vince, and I want to see what's your first impression, your first instinct. A sentence or less for each topic. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. First one I have for you: Bash at the Beach 2000.
Memorable.
Memorable. Okay.
Memorable.
I think everybody would absolutely agree with that. WCW's Bret Hart.
Well, I'll never look at him as WCW's Bret Hart. He'll always be WWF's Bret Hart. And Bret truly was a Canadian hero, in my mind anyway, no doubt.
Okay. Next one we have is Eric Bischoff.
Condescending.
Enough said right there. Next one, Kevin Nash the wrestler, Kevin Nash the creative control.
Well, let me put it to you this way, and this will cover everything.
Okay.
Kevin Nash is the greatest worker in the history of the wrestling business. You could take that any way you like.
High praise. Okay, we've had Kevin Nash before, so we're gonna keep it at the
and
greatest worker.
And I am a Kevin Nash fan.
Okay.
But
okay.
that's what comes to mind.
The greatest worker of all time.
Okay.
Take it as it is. Next name, Vince McMahon.
Vince is a genius, and there are different levels of genius, but at the end of the day, you do have to say the man's a genius.
Okay, would you use that term for somebody like Stephanie or Paul Levesque, who are now more in charge than he is?
I'm going to go a little bit more than a sentence here, but Vince's real genius is surrounding himself with geniuses in every area. He has the best in every position, and I think that makes him in turn a genius. I don't look at a Paul or Stephanie that way. I think they're more focused on doing the job at hand and obviously not looking at the overall picture like Vince does.
Okay, next one, TNA.
Disappointing.
Disappointing. Okay, I would agree with that. A lot of talent. Seems to be disappointing every week. But next one would be is the D-Generation X Invasion.
Ballsy. I mean, we did a lot of that not knowing what the outcome was going to be. I mean, when those guys drove that rocket launcher up to the WCW arena, building, wherever they were playing that time, I mean, we had no idea what was going to happen, and we were prepared for anything. To me, that's television the way it should be.
D-Generation X or NWO?
I'd say D-Generation X.
Really?
I think, not a slight on the NWO, but they were younger, they were cooler, they were hipper. I think sometimes the NWO, and I love the NWO, and I was a huge fan of those, but I think sometimes, the age did come across, whereas with DX, they were a lot younger, and I think the age made them a little bit more dangerous because you didn't know what they were capable of.
Okay, very well. One of my favorite characters in the Attitude Era, the Edgy, is what I always called him, Val Venus.
The thing I'll always remember about Val, that I've never seen anybody else do before, but, I was involved in, in part of creating a lot of characters in my day. But there wasn't a character that was more over the night that he stepped out the curtain for the first time than Val Venus. And again, that was the WWE production team, Kevin Dunn, the producer, the people that put those vignettes together, were phenomenal.
He's peeking out of the woods and looking around.
Just
the nuances of it.
And playing those over a period of time. The first night he came out, I was there. I was the arena. It was like he was a main eventer the first night.
An immediate star as soon as he popped out.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Next one, Johnny Rods.
Old school, man. Johnny had me flat backing at his gym, and there were a couple of days where I really hated him, but I love the guy. It was so it was such a huge payoff for me to be able to bring him on TNA and to let people see Johnny Rods that have maybe never seen him before. And it was only for a couple of episodes, but he was still Johnny Rods. I love the guy.
Okay, two more here. Ric Flair.
I'm going to say unpredictable because I think, my opinion, I think the Ric Flair, the way he presents himself to you, and the Ric Flair, the way he presents you when you're not around, I think are two different things. And I think, to me, anyway, personally, that was hurtful at times.
Okay. I actually have two more. This was a toss-up. Justin and I always talk about this. I'm on one end. He's on a completely different other end. Stone Cold or The Rock? It's hard because they're completely different characters.
I'm going to say this. I don't think there would have been one without the other.
Okay.
So I
he always goes Stone Cold. If there was no Stone Cold, there would be no Rock. I said, well, if there was no Rock, there might not be a Stone Cold.
I don't think you could have one without the other. I honestly don't. I think they were equal in value. And that's why, when people say, oh, I like to take credit for the Attitude Era, it's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, when you have Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, are you kidding me? I look at it that I was just so privileged. I mean, to work with those two guys at the same time in their prime, I mean, I'm just so thankful for that, and you can't have one without the other.
Okay, and last one we have here, Vince Russo.
A wrestling fan. Okay. And at the end of the day, all I ever cared about, and cared about to this day, even though I'm not involved in writing shows anymore, I talk about it a lot on my website, Pyro and Ballyhoo, but seeing the best wrestling product possible. Trying to write a show that you could be proud of, that you can draw as many eyeballs as possible to expand the wrestling audience. That was always my goal, to make that wrestling universe as big as it possibly could be.
Vince Russo here, Chair Shot Reality, episode 250 at Pyro and Ballyhoo on Twitter. Visit his website, get exclusive VIP access as well, pyroandballyhoo.com. Plenty more to come with the man next to me here on Chair Shot Reality.